If anime used to move their plot like this, now they go like this. And Hell's Paradise is a great example of why this is a problem. Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball, One Piece, and many more. What do all these series have in common? They are long as shit. Any series, whether popular or decently known, was going on for as long as the money machine was pouring out.
You gotta do it, man.
Dude.
Shows took their sweet ass time laying the seeds for the story they wanted to tell, and sometimes they didn't know where the story was going either. Wow, that first chapter of Naruto blew me away. This has the potential to be an amazing series. Bam! A whole chapter of Naruto teaching a kid how to do a sexy jutsu. Bam! Right after, a chapter of Naruto turning into his rival to try to seduce her girl. What? You want her to like these characters? Well, boo-hoo. Oh wow, this Bleach series is actually pretty cool. It's edgy and it's simple, but it has a really unique style to it. Bam! I heard you like weirdos, so let me give you an entire chapter of a teddy bear harassing women. Oh, speaking of harassing women, you've ever heard of Master Roshi? Not everyone knows how to handle this amount of chapters, especially when you need to put out a chapter almost every week. Many of these long-running stories run into the same problem. As the story goes on, both you and the author want to see the world and characters expand. But since they don't really have a concrete plan, since they've been working on individual chapters for years, week by week, you get uncreative ways of concluding a fight. Or even worse, a disappointing conclusion to a great villain. You get characters kinda just standing there while not doing much, an unfunny gag to ease the tension, or the most random deaths that are so obviously there to give you some fake weight to the events in the story. Yes, this is targeted at you, Neji. But as you go through these long-running series, you get to see their biggest power. They have the time to build up important plot threads through hundreds of chapters. For that moment, it doesn't matter how shaky the road got at times. You go, yeah, that was really cool. Sasuke's quest for revenge spans for hundreds of chapters, and although his character is way too edgy for my taste, the climax that is his fight against Itachi is still the peak of the series for me. Why? Because the build-up was there, but that's how it used to be. Kids have the attention span of a coyote and heroin. Boruto needs to be stronger than his dad in like 40 chapters. They don't want to watch a show that has hundreds of episodes, and if they're willing to watch it, it has to be right above a slime video. And right below a Family Guy clip. And let me be honest with you, Shonen will never perfect the slow burn magic that many TV shows have just because of the weekly formula, and the time that long-running shows like Breaking Bad have to plan a season compared to these series. So I'm okay with the faster pacing, but Hell's Paradise isn't how you do it. The concept is actually pretty interesting. There's this dangerous island that has all types of bugs with faces of people, huge Buddha figures that attack you, talking trees that hang out with little girls, and lesbians that can transition at will. It's all the weird that I like in a story, and honestly, I have no faults with its world building. Our main character is this ninja with fire powers that simply can't die. They convince him to embark on this mission in the hopes to see his wife again. So they send him to this island with his executioner lady and this huge cast of assassins, every single one with their own executioner. It all sounds really cool, right? Cool concept and a very diverse cast from the looks of it. The action is almost disturbing with how brutal it is. So how does it go wrong? By cramming as much as you can in every single episode. By the third episode, you already have these two characters that hated each other connecting in their weakness, which in paper is a really cool moment and shows the dynamic between the two central characters. But the story never gives us the time for this scene to have more weight than it could. We just met these characters 2 episodes ago, and their relationship was one of 2 people that understood each other but didn't particularly like each other. In this scene, they connect in their humanity, and although they both share the job of killing people, the mental struggle to kill one another is what gets them. This altercation feels so forced in nature, and it's a payoff that should have happened way further into the story. Oh, and while this is going on, the story is trying to introduce this guy and his entire backstory, and once that backstory is over, you meet another set of characters that get another one, and another guy. Oh, she actually doesn't have a backstory. That's nice. Oh, okay, she's just horny bait. Is that another backstory? This is all in the span of 2, maybe 3 episodes, and the story has no time to immerse you in any of these stories because it's trying to tell you so much in so little time. You have this dude. He hates women in power. Mind you, we just properly met this guy for the first time, and he's being a complete asshole to the main female character. And then literally in the next episode, he dies. He has this heartfelt speech about how he now respects women and how wrong he was. They paint his death as the saddest thing to ever happen since Kanye teasing Yandi for an entire year and never releasing it.
I didn't finish it.
I will never forgive you for that one, Ye. It gets so hard to care about any of these characters when the story is rushing to show all these sides and relationships. And it's not like the story really values this depth. Immediately afterwards, we move on with the story and its gags as if nothing of value actually happened, because nothing of value did happen. Now, this one's crazy. So they're fighting this big guy, right? And in the span of 3 minutes, the big monster gets an entire backstory about how he was actually never really bad, and his death ends in a Demon Slayer fashion. Ugh, shut up! What makes many of the Demon Slayer villains work, well, at least the good ones, is that through the entire arc you get glimpses and pieces of characters, their behavior and relationship towards each other. Although toxic, you can understand where they're coming from, which all comes through a nice close in their backstory and the soft depth that Tanjiro gives them. Sometimes it works, a lot of times it doesn't. But when it works, it's because the author has the time to lay the groundwork and characterization that's enough to make you care about what it's saying. And look, in paper, I feel like I should like Hell's Paradise way more than Demon Slayer, but the pacing really ruins everything for me. The characters aren't anything special, they're not bad, but none of them stand out. They don't have the time to do so either. Also, talking about not enough time, MAPPA, what is this production? Although the anime kicked off with a good start, you know, it was colorful, it was brutal. The moment they get to the island is where the quality dropped completely. Though the island is rich in its culture and mythology, the backgrounds all look exactly the same. The composition of backgrounds with the characters is so dead, and it just has this bland look through 99% of its episodes. It's a shame really, because what I think makes the pacing issues much more bearable in the manga is how impressive the art is. The author was an assistant for Satsuki Fujimoto while he was working on Fire Punch, and the rough yet polished art style can be seen in both manga. The way the shading is done, especially in this manga, almost feels directly influenced by how Fire Punch looked. It's a shame that almost none of that personality got translated into the anime, and all we have left is this really bland looking show with an alright cast and the worst pacing I've seen in a long time. When thrown with such a huge cast immediately, it's hard to really get to appreciate all of them, especially in so little time. Danganronpa has a similar problem, but only improves as the games go on, with V3 having the most well-rounded and properly developed cast with their distinct personalities and heartfelt scenes individually. A lot of it moves fast, but there's angles of the story that move in a much slower pace that makes you able to appreciate the cast. The Chainsaw Man anime showed me what I think was missing from Hell's Paradise, the perfect balance between this pacing and this pacing. By the time characters were dying, you got to really get a feel of their character and how they behaved. You see them struggle with a common enemy and how they all individually react to it. You see them hang around in a bar, drinking and eating, having a really silly time. Sometimes they get personal with one another. And just like I mentioned before, there's this aspect of the story that's a slow burn, even if the pacing is so fast. For example, with Denji being pretty much immortal, he's slowly losing his humanity. He questions his morality and his detachment towards death. Would he care if this person died, or this person died, or if she died? It feels so natural that you can relate to it. There's such a great payoff to this thought and many other moments in Chainsaw Man. Still, the Chainsaw Man manga has similar pacing issues, but not to the same extent as Hell's Paradise. It's a shame that so many authors today are rushing their stories to the quote-unquote good part of the story in fear of getting cancelled or just being tired of overworking themselves and wanting to put out a product as soon as possible. Hell's Paradise was being hyped up for years now as this special story and part of the Dark Trio, but I failed to see what makes it so special. Aside from its darker setting, the character and personalities are pretty straightforward and none of them stand out as unique to me. Its pacing makes it impossible to appreciate any subtle characterization, and if I keep rambling about what I don't like, Editing D would hate me for it. So let's just say, MAPPA, don't touch the series. You have too much on your plate. I'm really excited for Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and everything else you're working on. But this is simply too much. And it shows that the effort and schedule isn't going into this project. I hope Hell's Paradise improves as it goes on. And honestly, aside from the pacing and so-so characters, I want to see where this story goes. And more about its awesome setting. I see the potential and I want it to be great. But for now, I'm disappointed with this series. I still don't like Bleach.
ずっと考えてたんだ。死神とクインシーの戦いだってんなら。
Another training